Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the regular scheduled council meeting for, let's see, August 3rd, 2020. What a fine year it's been. 7 o'clock, and Ms. Berner, if you will call the roll, please.
Yeah, Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
I'm here.
Councilman Nowakowski is absent. Councilman Cobb,
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
6 members present.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berner. And moving on to the invocation by Vice Mayor Cook, if you would, please.
If you will, please bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, please guide us tonight as we attempt to do the best that we can for the city of New Carlisle. Please protect our first responders, our deputies, our troops that are overseas, along with those that are here in the United States. Guide us to the best of your ability, and we'll see what we can come up with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. And moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Grimm has the flag as usual. Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Liberty and
with
justice.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, going down to action on the minutes for the regular scheduled council meeting for July 20th, 2020.
So move.
Second. Any discussion on that, council, before we call for a vote?
Who was the second?
Whoever
Believe
you
it was-
want to pick. Give it to
Oh,
Dale.
Yeah,
Okay,
Mr. Grimm. And no discussion when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
all right. Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
and it's accepted 601.
Thank you. And then again, for the regular scheduled council meeting on July 20th, 2020.
Motion to,
Mr. Cobb, I think I heard first for the motion,
Second.
and second by Ms. Eggleston.
All right.
Any discussion, council? And when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
All right. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Those minutes are accepted 601.
And last but not least, the special meeting held on 7/28/2020.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Eggleston,
Second.
second by Mr. Cobb.
Ready? Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb.
Yes.
Those minutes are accepted 601.
And thank you very much, Ms. Berner. All right, moving on, communications none tonight, and Mr. City Manager, the man of the hour. Back to you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of the public. I'd like to share with you the city manager report. I do got some informational items on here, quite a few, so let me go through them here. So all the department reports will be next council meeting on the 17th. So under other items, city building downtown, I just put that on there again from last meeting. The bids go out September 8th. 3 to 4 week runtime, alternative bids for the third bathroom on second floor, and upgraded lights and fixtures. What's would be our responsibility, it's not included in the bid, is upgraded electrical, IT wiring, certain furniture, workstation, other related items. I just want to stress with council that we don't have to act on the bid. We just want to see what the actual numbers are going to come in compared to what we estimated. Sunshine Laws training. At the last council meeting, council passed resolution 20-10R, and that allowed me to go to Sunshine Law training on council behalf. I did look at some webinar dates they have, so I wanted to share those with council just in case any other council members wanted to log in and do that training themselves. So you have those. If you are interested in do that, just shoot me an email and I can show you how to go on and register for that link. I will be doing one of these 3 meetings, probably going to be the 8th or the 26th. But again, if you do want to attend on your own, just let me know and I can get you registered or send you the link to register. Shelter house renovations, that was carried over from the last meeting as well. It says dependent upon state orders pertaining to gathering limits, we still have that limit in place of 10 or less. So currently we're honoring no reservations, and we'll take a look at that again here in a couple of weeks for the September. Waste removal bid specs, they are out. We're going to have them out the legal notice needs to go out this week. So I did put that part as a council packet so you guys can read that and see what it is. This is going to be a very costly legal ad. The one I got quoted for our street lighting assessment, which is only about maybe that big, was about $330 for 2 runs, one each week. So I'm expecting this legal ad. As the bigger they are, the more expensive they are, but I'll have to let council know the total cost to run that ad, but we do have to legally do that. Streetlight LED project change out, that was carryover from last meeting as well. We have it on the city Facebook page, but we have received a few phone calls about it, so I did decide just to go ahead and put it on. So citizens, if you see any trucks going after switching out any street lights, we're actually upgraded those to LED lights. So that's what Miami Valley Lighting is doing out there. Making a little notes here. Speed limit reduction on State Route 571. At the last meeting, I had said that I would reach out to TCC about that speed study. We did hear back from them. So basically, they are able to do a speed study. They performed a very similar one in Urbana a couple years ago on US 68 for a cost of not to exceed $7,500. So council would have to direct me if you guys want me to go ahead any further and get a formal proposal. But it doesn't sound like it will be done for free. But it is something that if we do want to change that speed limit in the residential area, we are going to have to require that speed limit. And I can go ahead and forward council members out this email that I got, so you guys can see the whole thing. But it's basically the first paragraph is talking about what Jake did and how he was correct in his analogy of the ORC. And then he goes on to sit there and say about that one that we did in Urbana. And I also went ahead and asked him about the sidewalk, the crosswalk study I put with the council packet. That was just for informational purposes. It was a pretty long report, but I wanted council to see that for 2013 because I wanted to know if that data was still good. In the world of research, we don't use data that's so many years old. When I was in grad school, it was 10 years or less, you could use it. Traffic data is a little different. So he did mention that that data from 2013 is well past their recommended usage, but the parameters of that test are still what they use. So I'm going to go ahead and revisit that report myself because I haven't read it in 5-6 years. And then I also there's some more things here that I found very interesting regarding us just adding some painted stripes and some signalization that once I forward this out to council at the next meeting, I think we'll have some more discussion on it. I want to get with Mr. Grimm because at the last meeting too, council approved for me and him to work together on this. So I'm going to get with Mr. Grimm here in the next week or two, maybe go out to lunch with you, sir, and sit down and talk about that study and then also what this email says to see what we can present to council to move forward. Because I really am eager to get something out there at that crosswalk by the city building.
Just give me a call.
Absolutely, sir. Not a problem. And we work well together in this stuff, so I'm actually looking forward to it. And you are a resident of Main Street, so I think you see it all the time, and I appreciate your expertise on that. Some good news of the year. I also put with the council packets for city council is our renewal rates for 2021 and 22 for our dental, vision, and life insurance. And I am happy to report that we got 0% increase on our dental. Delta Dental is given a 0% renewal for 2021. Our vision plan is a 0% renewal rate increase locked through 2022. And our life insurance is 0% increase through 2023. So we have 3 tiers of services here that we provide to our staff that we're actually going to see no increase on. So that's good. Some good news. We all know health insurance costs. We all get kind of nervous around this time of year, not knowing what it's going to increase to. But this is a nice little segue into our actual medical negotiations that we're going to be having here pretty soon. So I just wanted to share that with council that we are having 0% increase on that as well. Crosswalk on Main is my next bullet point. I briefly touched on that before. Again, it was just for informational purposes for council, but I did want to attach that since we did have that discussion at the last meeting. The Tool Lending Center, again, a friendly reminder to all the citizens and council members that we do have the ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at Smith Park, there at where the Tool Lending shed is going to be. We do have the county administrator and the assistant county administrator coming. I think Mr. McLaughlin's coming, the commissioner. It'd be great to see anyone who has availability to come out there. It is going to go on. If it's thundering and lightning, clearly we'll have to take that into consideration. But right now it's planned to go on a schedule, and we're very, very excited to get that officially open. Our grass abatements for this year, you'll see on the agenda, we have Ordinance 20-28 that's introduced this week, but we voted on to the next council meeting, the first one in September. So our grass abatements this year, we are going to assess $8,125. So that's a little bit of an increase from last year. And those are something that we don't want to increase on, because what that means is that our, if we go out and tag someone for their grass being high, we'd like for them to correct it themselves, opposed to us going and doing it for them and then charging. So the higher this is, that tells you that the less people actually went out and cut their grass, or it can also mean we issued way more violations than we did last year as well. Either way, we do have to report that as assessment since it did not come in and pay. But council will be voting on that ordinance tomorrow. I just wanted to break down the total cost for that. And my last bullet point is upcoming. Here in a couple weeks, when our new finance director officially gets sat, first thing we're going to do is go over our 2020 appropriations and recommend some adjustments to city council. And that'll be adjustments on our revenue, our expenses, and also our CIP. And then anything we do to adjust that budget will be formally documented through legislation that will be submitted to council. But I will be anticipating having a few work sessions with council, either starting our 6 o'clock at 5:30 like we've been doing, or dedicating a whole separate day to a work session when we talk about the budget reductions that we're going to put forth to council. Also upcoming is our liability insurance renewal and also our health insurance renewals. So this time of year, we start getting all these renewals in for operating year 2021. As soon as we have the final numbers in, we'll definitely submit those to council. That's all I have for my city manager report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Council, any questions for Mr. Bridge?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bridge,
Yes, sir.
what I seen on the crosswalks that were on the drawings,
Yeah.
how many parking spots we gonna lose down through Main Street?
It depends. I'm trying to, I knew that was going to come up. So, all right, it depends. Like the striping that we do, oh Lord, it's been years. The striping that we do at Jefferson and 235, just stripes of paint, I don't think that's going to lose any parking spaces. However, I do recall seeing something in that crosswalk study that if we put a midsection crosswalk in, like in the middle of the block instead of where they begin, then that's what they'll do is like a bump out. That's not going to show up, but that's your road right here. They'll bump out the crosswalk here, and you'll actually lose a few parking spaces. So it depends if it's a mid-course crosswalk or a traditional crosswalk at the ends of the streets. Does that make sense?
Do we really need the one in the center? I've never seen that busy downtown.
That's what now that I think about it, like that crosswalk study did not warrant any kind of crosswalk, especially in that midsection. And I don't think that's the goal of this council. I think the goal of this council is just to have an additional signalized or non-signalized or some sort of striping up where Washington and Main Street is. So basically where the Christmas tree goes. And that's going to be very important when we move in our building downtown, because I can anticipate a lot more foot traffic parking either on the side of the city building or across street on Washington and across in Main Street to get to the city building. So I don't think this midsection one would work, but the traditional one at the beginning of the street. But all that will be approved by council should it come to that.
And I don't really see where you're drawing that much pedestrian downtown as it is only when the farmer's market or when the lodge meets down there is the only time I've seen it full.
Yeah. And that's why they did the study. They lit out, like I said, the last meeting, they lit out there with counters and counted the number of people. But the data can be misleading depending on, we're a lot more active in our downtown than we were in 2013. I think our shops are doing better. Our foot traffic is increasing. It's going to increase even more when the new city building comes in, and that farmers market every year does better and better and better. So it very well may be warranted, not the midsection one, because I don't think any business owner or council member is going to be interested in losing a single space down there if we can help it. But I think there is definitely I'm that's probably one of my top 10 things I get from citizens is asking about a crosswalk at that particular location on Main Street. It truly is. We got a lot of recommendations on it.
Anything else, Mr. Cobb?
No.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grimm?
Yes, there is a lot of foot traffic, mid-street. They'll park in front of my place, walk over to Lock and Dees all the time. But I don't think it's worth giving up parking spaces for a crosswalk in the middle of the block. Something that I had brought up some time ago, a year or two ago, about painting parking spaces on Main Street to maximize the space that we have. And I don't recall what the response was.
Yeah, I don't either, but that's a really good idea. Do you remember anything on that, Mr. Bridge? I'm sure it's probably a Mr. Kitco question.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I could revisit that with Howie. I mean, that's we can definitely put the paint in there. I'm trying to remember. I'm not going silent. I'm just trying to remember that conversation because I do remember having the conversation. I just don't remember exactly what was said. But it was definitely something that I can revisit with the appropriate staff members and then definitely update out the council. We would have to do, isn't there a truck that parks down there for deliveries for X amount of, like for the La Hacienda? We don't want that to go away for them. But it's something that we can definitely revisit. That's not a problem.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Grimm?
Yeah. So we can go ahead and paint a crosswalk at Main and Washington.
I'm going to look at that study some more and then analyze his email and ask the appropriate people. But that's something that you and I will discuss once we meet in person and kind of get our game plan down with how we want to address it moving forward. Because I'm definitely a pro guy when it comes to this crosswalk up by the city building. I think you are too. So we'll have to get our data together and then see how we're going to move forward.
Okay.
All right.
I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. And anyone else for Mr. Bridge? All right, Mr. Bridge, I just had one on the grass cuttings. I know you'd mentioned at some point you would like to look into contracting that out to save our city guys time and energy and whatnot. Is that something you're going to still look into or considering?
Oh, absolutely. We wanted to do it this year. We didn't put any money in the budget for it. And then we anticipated maybe going back to council, but then COVID hit. So it's something that probably in a 2021 appropriations, we're definitely going to see a line item in the planning department to allow for that. And just so everyone knows how the abatements work. So say one of our code enforcement would go and violate a particular address in the city, we would give them a violation. There would be a period for them to correct it themselves. And if they don't correct it, then we cut it. And when I say we cut it, I mean, we literally cut it. We send our street crew up there. Well, in the spring and summer times, it gets really time consuming when the street guys need to be out doing pothole repairs or dirt patching or doing work in the parks that they're supposed to be doing, cutting that kind of grass. That is actually what it ends up doing, is ends up taking away from the work they got to do somewhere else, because now they're tasked with an abatement that the grass is already high. They let it go any longer, it's going to get, the higher it goes, the more of a hassle it is to get corrected. So I want to say I became city manager in 15, so probably 2013 or 2014, this former city manager and council contracted it out. So basically we hired a company out of Springfield. Anytime we got an abatement program, an abatement violation, we'd send in the address, they would go cut it, and then we would either collect payment on that or assess their property tax, how we did before. So basically they charged us $30 a lot. We would have to go pay that $30 in advance, i.e. where the budget line item comes out, and then we reimburse ourselves through the assessments when we get paid, when people pay their taxes. So it was a win-win. But the goal is to find a company that will do it for that cheap. We got a really good deal with that company for $30 a lot. So it's something in the 2021 appropriations we will be discussing with council.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, no other questions. We will move on. No questions? All right. So we are at comments from the members of the public. Mr. Bridge, how's it looking on there?
We're good to go. No additional.
All right, thank you, sir. Committee reports, none tonight. Let's see, resolutions. Ms. Berner, I'll hand it over to you. Don't forget you're muted.
Where'd it go?
All right, we've got resolution 2020-11R, a resolution declaring the necessity of improving the streets of the city of New Carlisle, Ohio by lighting them.
Council,
Move to accept.
Second.
it was second by Mr. Vice Mayor.
Okay, an explanation of this ordinance. So this resolution and the subsequent ordinances we're voting on next week is all part of our assessment package. We do these at the same time every year, so they're housekeeping. But this particular resolution, when you light your city streets, there are certain steps we have to take per the Ohio Revised Code. Step one is pass a resolution declaring the necessity of them, which is in front of council tonight. So basically, that's what this does. It says, yes, there is a need to light our lights, and council needs to vote on that, and then we'll get to the next couple ordinances next week.
All right, council, any questions? Mr. Grimm?
Mr. Bridge, do I remember correctly? You said we're just charged a flat fee for the electricity, and they're not all metered?
Yeah, how that works is it's a frontage that the auditor uses. That's a frontage calculations, and we charge.
I mean, what we are charged, what the city is charged for the electricity.
But yeah, it's 60. Yeah, it's yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Sorry, I didn't understand the question. Yeah, so they bill us a flat fee, and what we do is we take that flat fee and insert that into the calculation the county auditors use. So you pay 60 cents per square footage that you have frontage on your property.
Okay.
So, if you have 500 feet of frontage, then you take that 60 and they do a calculation, we get your normal amount. But yes, we get billed a set amount and then we divide that up accordingly to each one.
Okay.
Sorry, this was your question. Yeah, no problem. Good question, by the way. Great question.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Any other questions? All right, Ms. Berner, when you're ready, please.
Okay, Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Motion accepted 6-0.
All right,
And
thank you.
we move on, read all the ordinances. No
Sure, if
action
you'd like to.
on any of them. We have ordinance 2020-25. An ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of certain public streets within the corporate limits of the city of New Carlisle, Ohio by lighting them. Ordinance 2020-26, an ordinance levying assessments for the improvements of certain public streets within the corporate limits of the city of New Carlisle, Ohio by lighting them. Ordinance 2020-27, an ordinance certifying to the Clark County Auditor and authorizing placement on the tax duplicate certain delinquent utility accounts for collection with real estate taxes. Ordinance 2020-28, an ordinance certifying to the Clark County Auditor and authorizing placement on the tax duplicate certain uncollected weed and or grass cutting fees for collection with real estate taxes.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so under other business, there is an executive session in case council wanted to go into executive for, I'm assuming, the public to discuss employment of a public employee. As far as I know, I don't think we need to, but if anybody.
Before we do that though, under other business, could I bring up what I found about licensing cats in the city and that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay, here a couple months ago, a citizen came and talked to us about cats in the city. In the meantime, I've been researching it to see what we could do. I talked to the auditor and he said that we can't license cats. It's hard enough for dogs. And I checked, and other cities, they have some ordinances where you have to keep your cat in your yard, but I'm not sure how they enforce that. I'm going to check on that. And another option is catch and release, as far as catching cats and then releasing them and getting them neutered and then releasing them, neuter spayed. But that's not a real popular option with cat owners. So that's where, I just wanted to let you know that's where it is.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we'd had, and Mr. Vice Mayor or Ms. Hopkins probably remember at one time years ago, didn't they do a catch and release with cats?
Yes.
The city
Yes.
did it. And then I think, Mr. Bridge, you talked one time about maybe here in the near future, if our finances continue to improve as they have, maybe someday we could look at possibly hiring someone to possibly, catch animals. Didn't you go over that briefly?
Oh, yeah. The budget's good enough. I think it's something to look at, absolutely.
And I did get some names of some organizations that do it. And I think I would like to do some more research on how they enforce people keeping cats in their yards, because a lot of the cat owners aren't really fond of catch and release because they don't want their cat spayed or neutered. And so I'll work on that a little bit more.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. We appreciate that. Mr. Bridge.
Councilwoman Hopkins, is that something you want some assistance on? How me and Mr. Grimm are going to tackle that crosswalk? Do you want council to have us work together on researching that?
I don't
You want to
see,
do on your own? It's up to you.
Yeah, I have no problem with it on my own. The research I've done so far, it was easy to get, so.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. And moving on. So does council need the executive session tonight? Then if not, I think we have to, break rules and vote to remove it? Mr. Vice Mayor?
I believe that this discussion would be paramount to the upcoming budget session
Okay.
we need to look at.
No problem. Okay, so do we want to, if we're going to go into executive session, do we want to excuse Ms. Nowakowski after we return back into normal session? Is that okay with everybody? Okay. All right, so we'll excuse Ms. Nowakowski after we come back. So we will be going into executive session, it looks like, to discuss the employment of a public employees. I guess we'll need a motion to do so.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cobb and second by Ms. Eggleston, I believe.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
That motion passes 6-0.
All right. And Casey, whenever you have us off